After being stopped by his own army, his ambition didn't vanish. It merely transformed. I could see it in his eyes that day. The fire still burned, but it had changed color, from the bright flame of discovery to the colder, steadier glow of something unyielding. The journey home, he told us, would not be a retreat. No, it would be a new conquest, a conquest of knowledge, of endurance, of the very limits of human will. We thought we understood what that meant. We did not. He divided us into three, as a master might divide pieces on a board. One part, for those who had given the most, was granted a path of safety. To them, he entrusted the veterans and the siege equipment, sending them north along the safer road. I remember the relief on their faces, and perhaps a flicker of guilt for leaving the rest of us behind. The second part was given a mission of discovery, one that appealed to the dreamers and the sailors. To Nearchus and his men fell the task of building a fleet and venturing into unknown waters. It was a conquest not of land, but of the maps themselves, a chance to write our names where no Greek hand had yet drawn a line. I could see in their eyes the quiet thrill of facing the sea. And the third part, our part, was reserved for his wrath. He said it was the path of glory, but we knew. It was his punishment for our defiance, for daring to stand in his way. We were to sail down the Indus, and any tribe that resisted would be swept aside. There was no mercy in his voice, only the promise of retribution. The journey down the Indus was a relentless chain of skirmishes, one blurring into the next. Villages burned behind us, their flames marking our passage more surely than any road. I can still hear the clash of steel in the humid air, the cries of those who stood against us, and the silence that followed. He no longer wanted a clever victory. He wanted absolute destruction. The patience that had once defined him was gone, replaced by a hunger to crush, to break. And when he took the ladder that day at Malli, when he climbed alone into the teeth of the enemy, I understood. This was no longer about strategy. This was about proving something, perhaps to us, perhaps to himself. And just like that, with the splintering of the ladder beneath us, he had cut off his own retreat. I will never forget that sound, the crack of wood, the gasp of every soldier who saw it. In that instant, we knew he was trapped, and so were we. And then the arrow struck him. For a moment, the entire world stopped breathing. I felt the air freeze in my lungs. We thought we had lost him. And in that instant, love became rage. Our love for him was as immense as his ambition, and when we thought he had been taken from us, that love became a weapon, sharp, merciless, unstoppable. We tore through Malli like a storm until nothing remained. After his wound had healed, we finally reached the shore of the great ocean. For most of us, it was relief, the sight of water that did not need to be fought for, the sound of waves that spoke of home. I thought, perhaps, this would be the end of it. I was wrong. When he heard of the Gedrosian Desert, I saw it in his face. The decision was already made. And as soon as I heard the tales of those who had failed to cross it, I knew which path he would choose. It was no longer strategy, it was hubris, a challenge thrown not at men, but at the gods themselves. Water became gold. Every sip was measured in heartbeats. Men dropped where they stood. And yet, even in his anger, in his cruelty, he was still our king. When they brought him that helmet of water, and he poured it into the sand before us, the gesture was worth more than the drink itself. In that act, he bound us to him again. We did not return as conquerors. We returned as beggars, as ghosts spat out by the desert. Yet in that moment, when Craterus's men gave us food and water, there was no shame, only brotherhood. Any other general would have hidden such a disaster, but not him. He turned it into a legend. He made us celebrate, made us drown the memory of the desert in wine. Some called it madness, I called it defiance. And in his smile during that procession, I saw the truth. It was a roar against his own failure. We returned to Babylon, but the journey had taken more from him than it had given. His body betrayed him daily. Still, when he looked at the map, his gaze drifted beyond its edge. For him, it was never enough. His map always had a blank space. Men will call him the Great, They will speak of his battles and his victories, but I who walked with him will remember him as a fire that lit the world and in the end burned itself away.